morning and happy Tuesday 10 at 10. I'm your host and baker influencer, Richard Charpentier. So every week we gather to answer questions sent from the bakers, answered by yours truly, Richard Charpentier. I am a master baker and a bakery scientist, and I've spent the last 35 years working in the industry in different positions such as product development and production. But let's get to our questions today. Someone wants to know, what is the accepted water activity of buttercream? That's a very good question, but let me ask, what buttercream are we talking about? Because buttercream can be as simple as taking palm shortening with some powdered sugar, and that's a buttercream. Or are we talking about a Swiss style, Italian style, a French style of buttercream where you have to cook a sugar to a certain degree? You know, do you have eggs? Do you don't have eggs? So buttercream, based on how you make it, is generally, if it's the authentic buttercream, that is a very short shelf life. So, and why it's important in terms of water activity is if you have shelf life, and what other multi-components are you using? Are you putting a cake? Are you putting a dacquoise? Are you putting other layers that could interact with that? Because there's a phenomenon why water activity is important, is equilibrium. Once you put ingredients, if you were to make a cake with creams and you make a sandwich or like an Oreo cookie, it has to be balanced. So it has to do with the other ingredients. So for me to answer and say what water activity is normal, it's the water activity you're targeting is a water activity that will make the best shelf life for the product. That's what's important, not about what criteria, a number it needs to be in order to work, but does that work for you? So again, for shelf stability, and when we start getting into water activity, it starts with your product. If you have your cake layer at a 0.9 water activity and your buttercream is going to be at 0.85, therefore the water coming from the cake is going to go to the buttercream, and therefore making your buttercream soft and runny. And if the opposite is the case, then the water will go always from the higher water activity to the lower until it comes to equilibrium. It's super, super important when developing new product. It's not just about a number, it's a number that works for you. So I hope I helped you out with your answer, and good luck with your continuation on the quest to the best buttercream. So now for our next question. Someone is saying they're facing problems with their hamburger buns, and they have uneven color, too much of an open crumb. Could they be associated with a proofer, oven condition, or is it a matter of formulation? What do you recommend? Well, it's all of the above. If you're not satisfied, it's never, in my experience, never just one thing. It's usually several factors that will contribute to something. That's why it's important to have consultants, so people you can trust to come into your bakery and work with you, and years of experience like myself to say, hey, this should be fixed, or this, look at that, and where's the time and temperature. So when it comes to great hamburger buns, and I've made a lot in my life, it starts with a good formulation, a good mixer, a good proper hydration, good rest time, and good dough conditioning system based on the speed of your line, and a good proof box. And a lot of people, to get a beautiful shine, they're using a nice open crumb. Most of formulations have balance of milk, no milk, or sugar, different level of sugar, different level of surfactants and monoglycerides to soften the crumb. What's in your formulation? Your process, if you have a manual process, it will require more attention to detail. So there are therefore more trained employees that can monitor the time and temperature and hide ferment. Remember, when you're working with yeast-raised product, yeast is a biological living organism. So therefore, it's like I always joke about it, but it's like puppies. It requires more attention. You need to make sure they're being fed and they're at the right temperature and they have the right shelter in order to grow into beautiful adult dogs. Same thing with the yeast. What are you doing that the yeast, is working differently or opening it up too much? And always, all very important is your flour. What flour do you use to make your bun? Look at your C of A. If you have a farinograph, alveograph, anything that can help you out, knowing how your flour works is always a plus. So hopefully it helps, and thank you for sending your question. And now for our last question of the day, we have someone is using distilled monoglyceride, and the usage is 3% of the flour weight, and the target shelf life they're looking for is 60 days. Can I reduce it to 2% since the batter is too thick to handle? So you're using something and you're trying to achieve the shelf life. Remember, monoglyceride is a surfactant, and it's helped to keep a moist texture for your cake, but not a contributor to shelf life extension. Shelf life extension is more than just an emulsifier. It's a great start, but it's about the process and the rest of the formulation and the time and temperature at which you deal with your product. So you can try a 2% if you think that works, but if your batter is already too thick, that means it's not right. So, and if you're relying on a monoglyceride to change the viscosity of your batter, it's not proper. So I would rethink how you approach. Are you hydrating properly? Do you have enough sugar? There are different ways to achieve shelf life in bakery products other than just one ingredient or enzyme. It's a combination of all formulation ingredients plus processes that will give you a good quality extended shelf life product. That's it for today, my friends. So thank you very much for listening to Tuesday 10 at 10, and I will see you next week, and happy baking. Thank you.